Welcome to the Highlights Show. I'm Phil Kessler.
And I'm Amy Ryan. It's great to be here.
Okay. Wow. Just processing that. I really went in expecting, another session on compliance checklists. But that felt bigger. Like they just rewrote the rule book for how we even think about company value.
The scale of it. Yeah. It really wasn't about just reporting, was it? The main thing hit right away, this idea of economics 3.0. Mm-hmm. Basically saying we've moved way past valuing just factories and machines. Now it's all about the intangible stuff, sustainability, innovation, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And the challenge they laid out was so clear. It was like, look, the tools we use, the accounting standards, they were built for economics 1.0, maybe 2.0. They're designed to measure, tons of steel. They just can't grasp these new value drivers. They're fundamentally inadequate.
Exactly. And that's why this really matters if you're listening, whether you're, say, managing a portfolio or running a division. This is where it gets real. We're shifting past just nice-sounding ESG reports. We're moving into actual auditable financial valuation for this stuff. Sustainability isn't just a story anymore. It's starting to look like a real balance sheet item.
Right, and that statistic they threw out, that's the headline, isn't it? Up to 90% of a company's value today tied up in intangibles. Things like innovation, reputation, resilience, people. 90%. What does that even mean for how businesses report traditionally?
Well, it means most reporting is missing the point. Massively. If 9/10 of your value isn't properly captured by your standard financial statements, you're essentially operating in the dark, aren't you? You can't manage what you don't measure. It's that basic.
So they were basically reframing sustainability itself, not as like a corporate social responsibility thing, but as a strategic asset class.
Yes, exactly. A measurable, intangible asset class. And what was really interesting was how they showed it overlapping with other intangibles we do sort of track, like intellectual property or company culture, social capital. The connection is almost blindingly obvious when they lay it out. If you manage these intangibles well, you drive growth. If you don't, you're creating huge, potentially invisible risks.
Okay, we definitely need to dig into that risk part, because this isn't just some academic idea, is it? They made it clear this is being driven by regulators. Hard.
Oh, absolutely. That regulatory piece is crucial. So, sure, something like 98% of the Fortune 1000 are already doing some ESG reporting. We know that. But the real shift, the thing that changes the game, is this global alignment they talked about. Over 40 jurisdictions moving towards standards based on IFRS and this new International Sustainability Standards Board, the ISSB.
40. Wow. So that kind of alignment means it stops being optional guidance, right?
Sure.
It becomes mandatory and auditable, like proper financial reporting auditable.
That's the key. Mandatory, verification-ready financial reporting for huge parts of the global economy. For years, companies could kind of pick and choose, publish a glossy PDF. Now, the push is towards comparable, reliable data that financial auditors have to sign off on. The pressure is really building.
Okay, so problem established, huge chunk of value missing, regulators are coming. But, we've heard promises about fixing ESG data before. What was it about the solution they presented, this Impact IQ thing, that made you think, okay, this might actually be different, not just another reporting layer?
I think the core difference was the shift in focus. It wasn't just about reporting data, it was about managing it. The whole system seemed built from the ground up to produce, balance sheet quality information. They called the main output an IM score, Intangible Management Score. But the crucial part wasn't the score itself, it was that it's designed to be verified. Auditable. Right, auditable. That's the bit that hooks into finance. What makes it auditable in a way that, say, a typical ESG report isn't?
They showed how it plugs right into the general ledger systems. The metrics, the KPIs for these intangibles, they're aligned with standard accounting audit principles. So it's not a separate silo. It maps directly onto the P&L, onto the normal reporting cycles. It's built to be part of the existing financial architecture. I see. So instead of a paragraph about good governance, this system could show a verifiable metric that demonstrates how that governance actually impacts the bottom line, the numbers auditors check.
Precisely. And it's not just backwards looking, which is another big difference. Most ESG reporting is, what did we do last year? Checkbox exercise. This felt much more dynamic, forward-looking, for continuous management, for forecasting, which is what you need for making actual investment decisions, not just filing compliance reports.
That contrast they drew between inside-out verified data and the outside-in ratings.
Yeah.
That seemed really important. especially for investors trying to trust the numbers.
Yeah, that's a critical point about data reliability, isn't it? If you're an investor using one of those external scores, say from MSCI or Sustainalytics or whoever, you're often relying on algorithms scraping public data, interpreting filings. It can be lagging, pretty generic, and fundamentally it's not verified at the source.
Whereas this inside-out approach, as they called it, it pulls data directly from within the company.
From their own systems. Exactly. From the ERP, the CRM, HR systems, wherever the primary data lives. It means the intangible metrics are built on the same foundation of data quality that the company uses for its normal financial reporting. That makes it far more robust for actual financial use cases like valuations or loan covenants.
Okay, which leads us to the payoff. And this, I think, was the real aha moment, especially if you're leading a business. Getting past the abstract, doing good to actual ROI. That scenario analysis capability they showed, that seemed incredibly powerful.
That's the bit that really bridges the gap, right? Making the intangible, tangible, financially tangible. It lets you model the financial impact of specific actions before you spend the money. Like what happens to our bottom line if we improve X or invest in Y?
Can we walk through that example again? The one about modeling improvements? That felt like the core of the business case.
Sure. They showed how you could model, say, improving specific IM KPIs, maybe enhancing supply chain transparency, or boosting carbon management efficiency, and the system could then translate that operational change directly into its effect on the P&L. It calculates the actual ROI on that specific intangible or sustainability investment.
Wow, okay. So you can literally run an ROI calculation on reducing your carbon emissions in the same way you'd calculate the return on buying a new machine.
Yeah.
That completely flips the script on sustainability being just a cost center. It becomes a capital allocation decision.
That quantification is the strategic advantage. And they made it clear it's not just for the giant public companies. This kind of auditable data is vital for, say, private equity funds assessing portfolio companies, planning value creation, or even prepping for an exit. Asset owners, too. Anyone needing reliable metrics.
Okay, practicality check. This sounds complex. If I'm a CFO, the idea of implementing a whole new system for this sounds like a nightmare. Integration, data flows.
Did they talk about that? They did, thankfully. That added some necessary realism. They stressed it was designed as a plug-in, meaning it's meant to integrate with existing systems, your ERP, CRM, BI tools. It's not supposed to be a rip and replace job, but more of an overlay that pulls data from what's already there.
Okay, that helps. Now, they also mentioned needing partners, right, like consulting firms, accounting firms.
Yeah.
They mentioned Brilio specifically as a software partner.
Yeah, they were quite open about needing an ecosystem. Consulting partners for the implementation and change management, accounting firms for the assurance side, tech partners like Brilio to help build and scale it globally. It shows the conversation is maturing, moving beyond just the concept into the practicalities of actually deploying something this comprehensive, this verification ready across different regions and rules.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway for me was how clearly they positioned sustainability, or maybe broader intangible management, not as some kind of corporate burden, but as a core auditable financial asset, something that directly drives value. And the fact that people like Paul from finance and Robert Stern from media were apparently involved suggests this is hitting across different functions now.
And connecting it back, that alignment piece is key. The fact that it maps to GRI, SASB, TCFD, and crucially the new ISSB FRS standards. It signals that this kind of approach is really designed to be the bridge, connecting mandatory compliance with actually gaining a strategic edge financially.
Yeah, it felt like more than just a product pitch. It felt like a conceptual reset for how value itself is being defined and measured now.
Which leaves you with a pretty stark question, doesn't it? If 90% of your company's value is intangible, how long can you really afford to make major strategic decisions based on systems that ignore almost all of it?
You can't, really. Not sustainably, anyway. I think if you're involved in valuation, in investment, corporate strategy, seeing the full Masterclass is probably essential. You need to see the architecture, the full business case start to finish. It really drives home that this isn't theoretical anymore. This shift is happening now.